I haven't had a chance to talk about this yet, Mayor.
Go ahead, Councilman.
Okay. No. Yes, I did say at that time that there should be certain parameters for when we were looking at the different not-for-profits in order to allocate money that we were talking about at the time to be given to those not-for-profits. And I do remember the Samaritan Hospital coming before us and asking for us to help them fund traveling nurses. And I do remember the YMCA, because the YMCA was looking for money about their membership, okay? And when I look at hospice, I mean, here's an organization that helps and their services touch every person's life in this city, Watertown, everyone. And it's very poignant for me at this particular time, 2 weeks after my father passed, all right, to know exactly what they do for everyone. And that they're for people who don't have insurance that can provide nursing homes and other services that are needed at that particular time. And they're very gifted at making sure they kind of smooth out the edges, the rough edges, I might add, of that time in everyone's life when that time comes for a family. And so for us to be sitting here and discussing whether or not we should do something as simple as provide a company, a not-for-profit in this community, the funding that they need to be able to do and provide for every single citizen in this city and in the community is, to me, disappointing, seriously disappointing. And for it to try to have been tabled, to shut down so a vote or a discussion couldn't be had about it, even more disappointing for that to have been attempted. And for countless different issues that I have had discussions about for this community that have been talked about when we talked about homelessness and $25,000 to be put aside for their help. All right, that wasn't voted on here by you, Mayor. That was a no vote because it was the county's job to do this type of thing. It's the county's job to do these types of things. No, it comes down to the people that sit at this council, and we can clearly see tonight who is in favor of helping an organization that helps every citizen in this city. Now, how we go about it, is it still available? Is that money because of rules that have changed? You know, maybe the rules have changed. Maybe more needs to be understood. But I'd rather beg for forgiveness and ask for permission on this particular issue, and I'm for taking a vote and saying, and I will be in favor of this money being given to this organization. So, because I know what I do when I make a determination about what I do here in this council is I do investigation and I come to a conclusion about what is needed. Not just needed in this particular instance, but needed in general. All right, now if we had a food pantry, and that food pantry came to us or made it known to our city's manager that they were short in the pantry and we had many families in the community that needed food, then certainly the city would step up, I would hope, and we'd all take into consideration what the need of the community is at that time, and we would put money up in a resolution to be able to provide the food for the pantry so that people could eat. And in this case, I know for a fact that when I've talked to hospice, they're short on beds. They're backlogged. They can't take people in that are needing to go into their services right now because they just can't afford to provide the services that they need to provide. And people are asking for these services, but they can't provide it. And what are we doing tonight? We're discussing, it's a great organization, but, you know, they call but and however disclaimers, and so you really stop listening when somebody uses that particular word, but or however, and now you listen carefully. And what you're listening to then is what they're really thinking about this whole situation, what we're discussing right now. I like the organization, but I think it's a good cause, however. So what are we saying? It's not a good cause? No, of course it's a good cause. Is it something we should contribute money to? Absolutely, in my opinion. No equivocation on my part. So you know what I find really interesting and hard to understand is why some people do equivocate. And everything I've seen come across this table here throughout this year about building pools, buying land, building streets, hiring people, things that provide services for the very people we're elected by to provide them with the services that we're here to do, And yet we can't find it within ourselves to come to that moral decision about what's right. We got to tie it up in rules. We got to put off something that should have been voted on tonight for a good reason, because we had a rule that prevented it from being brought forward. Clever, not effective. It won't stop it from being done. But my point is I think, already made. And so what I'm going to say tonight is you can do everything you can. You can use a rule book to stop what it is that you don't want to do because you're in the minority in this particular issue. But it's not going to stop people from understanding exactly what it is that you're trying to do tonight, in my opinion. Okay? And I am saddened, personally, by what I've witnessed tonight by two of the council members in stopping the previous resolution and this one in particular about something that would be good and offer a good thing for the community as far as providing the money that this organization that's selfless in every way, what we expect an organization to do, what we expect a nonprofit to be all about, to provide for services when the government can't do those things. And we ask them to step up, like in the county, so many organizations that step up. And here we're asked to step up and do the right thing. And that's all I'm saying. And that's what I wanted to say.
All right, thank
So, you know what, I'll just say this, because you asked me, as far as where we get the money, you know, the details of how we go about doing this, that the devils are always in the details. And if we need to understand better if this is okay, I'm still for taking a vote to move this to a vote, because I will be a no for tabling it tonight, number one. And number two, I will be a yes for doing this. All right?
All right.
And then we can decide whether or not it's
You've had your
possible.
5 minutes, so let's go back around.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that.
Is any other discussion?
No other discussion.
Councilwoman?
No.
No? So, you know, just to address some points of where the money comes from. It comes from the taxpayer. And it's wonderful to say we're going to do all these things. That's what a socialist society does. You know, pools, golf courses, the important things for the community. And so when you sit there and you grandstand about not-for-profits and what's good for the city, let's name off a couple good things that I think the councilman has forgotten. What about the Disabled Persons Action Organization? This wonderful organization takes care of disabled kids and their family, allows for respite through the beginning of their life to the end of their life and their adult or teenage years. That seems like a worthy cause. Why don't we give them $225,000? Well, what about the urban mission? We heard him talk about feeding the poor. Well, that's what the urban mission does. So why don't we give, isn't that a valid cause? Why don't we give them $225,000? Salvation Army, where they got short-term homeless, they feed the poor, food pantry, all of these great, wonderful things. We'll put them on the plate for another $225,000. American Red Cross. Everybody's going to need the American Red Cross at some point in their lifetime. Right now, you might be going to a fire and need the American Red Cross to step in and help people out. We'll put them down for $225,000. Catholic Charities. They do a tremendous amount for more than just Catholics. They do a wonderful job. Let's put them down for $225,000. Children's Miracle Network. Why don't we put them down for $225,000? Miss Dermody, please stop interrupting. This is not privileged. Oh, okay, I apologize. Ma'am, please. Okay? I said I apologize, Mrs. Dermody. Why don't we put Children's Miracle Network down for $225,000? That's got to be a good cause, isn't it? They help a lot of kids out, disabled kids, for their whole life. At the start of their life, they're going to die. Yeah. Some. That's a good cause. Habitat for Humanity. What about them? Good cause. Let's put them down for $225,000. So we can go on with endless great organizations and causes. Not-for-profit, they don't pay taxes, as was mentioned earlier tonight. But that's not the nature, role, function of City of Watertown government. I guess if we want to be a socialist society and we want to provide everything for everyone, We can tax the people right out of the community because where is the money going to come from? We heard tonight about ARPA. Somehow that is not taxpayer dollars. I think it came from the federal government. The federal government gets their money from taxpayers. Taxpayer dollars. So, you know, we are entrusted with spending other people's money. It's not our money. I don't see people running out here to give all their money that they have to these organizations, but you want to, boy, as fast as you can give other people's money, not worried about are we following the proper procedure. We talk about other agencies we give it to. The only one I'm aware of right now is CAPC, which we give $10,000 a year to, and we have a specific agreement that they provide a specific service to the community for the poor. So there's a lot of good causes. As I sit here and speak tonight, DPAO is providing a community service. They have a concert that provides an opportunity for the public to be entertained while they're raising money for disabled kids. Isn't that a valiant cause?
Yes, it is. There's
We
a
should
lot
add 225 for them, right?
of good ones.
A lot of them. So back to the original point. How do you pick winners and losers? Which one is good, which one isn't? Can you name one of the ones I said that is not valiant?
About what one's good is about
It's
doing
about-
something that's needed at the time.
So all of these organizations are, you telling me that we don't have disabled kids? You telling me the Urban Mission doesn't need more food for their food pantry? Salvation Army, homeless, they don't need help there in their food pantry? Telling me Children's Miracle Network doesn't need money, or American Red Cross? Maybe we should just involuntarily start drawing blood from people too to give to the American Red Cross. So my point being is there's a lot of great causes. And you got to go back to what is the nature, role, and function of government. We're not a socialist society. If the council wants to vote to give money to one organization, be prepared for other organizations, but make sure you do it legally and you're following the rules. Because I haven't seen, other than we're just going to give them $225, what is this specifically going to go to? Do we have an answer to that?
Resolution does say ventilation system.
Well, we heard tonight that it's not included, so don't we think we should do our due diligence and homework and check and see if that is something we can give money to?
I thought ventilation.
So I would make a motion to table this, and we can come up with rules for every organization, and that. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded on tabling. Call the question.
Councilmember Hickey?
Yes.
Councilmember Only?
No.
Councilmember Pierce?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruggiero?
No.
Mayor Smith?
Yes. Ordinance number 1.
Ordinance number 1, amending section 293-58 of the City Code, section 10, stop intersections, Jeffrey E.